And you thought your week was weird? 10 stories that prove reality's off its meds. Switzerland's speeding duck, a quack in the Matrix. All right, folks, let's kick things off in Switzerland, a land known for chocolate neutrality and apparently ducks with a need for speed and an impeccable sense of timing. Get this, a traffic camera in the town of Cannes clocked a duck breaking the speed limit. Now, a speeding duck is funny enough, but hold on to your cuckoo clocks. This feathered felon was snapped on April 13th. Here's where it gets truly bizarre. Exactly 7 years to the day, on April 13th, 2018, the same camera, in the same spot, caught a similar-looking duck flying at the exact same speed, a blistering 32 miles per hour in a 12 miles per hour zone. Town officials, bless their punctual Swiss hearts, even put out a statement on social media, assuring everyone this wasn't a late April Fool's prank and that their camera systems are tamper-proof. They hope people enjoy pondering curious coincidences, criminal activities of animals, and the maximum flight speed of ducks. Many observers were left wondering if this was a genuine glitch in the Matrix, a term that perfectly captures the uncanny nature of the event. This isn't just about a law-breaking waterfowl. It touches on that deep human fascination with patterns and coincidences, especially when technology captures something so perfectly improbable. The universe, it seems, has a quirky sense of humour, and sometimes it uses a duck and a traffic camera to remind us. Perhaps this duck is a time traveller, or maybe it just really, really likes that particular stretch of road on April 13th. Either way, it's a delightful head-scratcher. Valerie the Vagabond Vovina, 500-plus days of dachshund freedom. Next up, we head down under to Kangaroo Island, South Australia, for a tale of survival that's frankly unbelievable. Meet Valerie, a miniature dachshund who decided the tourist life wasn't for her. While her owners, Georgia Gardner and Josh Fishlock, were holidaying in November 2023, Valerie went missing. For 529 days, that's nearly 18 months, or about half her life, this tiny sausage dog braved the wilderness. After an epic 529 days on the run, Australia's favourite four-legged fugitive was finally reunited with her owners on May 6, 2025. The reunion was emotional, with Miss Gardner reportedly bawling her eyes out as Valerie wagged her tail and barked, showering her parents with kisses and cuddles. The rescue team, Kangala Wildlife Rescue, used a remote-triggered trap with familiar scents and treats to finally bring her in. Here's the kicker. After more than 500 days fending for herself, Valerie was reportedly heavier than when she disappeared. Someone or something was clearly looking out for and feeding this adventurous wiener. Valerie's tale isn't just a cute dog story. It's a testament to the resilience of animals and the profound bond humans share with their pets, evidenced by the extensive efforts to find her. The public was captivated, with many following her story online. She's now back home, ready to rejoin her fur siblings, including a rescue cat and another dachshund. One has to wonder what stories Valerie would tell if she could. Probably something about the delicious, mysterious food sources of Kangaroo Island. Mount Fuji's most determined and double-rescued climber. From the wilds of Australia we ascend to the treacherous slopes of Mount Fuji, Japan, where one student's priorities have become the stuff of legend. This 27-year-old Chinese student residing in Japan decided to climb Mount Fuji on April 22nd. That's off-season, folks, a notoriously bad idea. Predictably, he reached about 3,000 meters, lost his crampons, essential ice-gripping gear, developed altitude sickness, and had to be airlifted to safety by helicopter. A harrowing experience, a lesson learned, right? Wrong. 4 days later, on April 26th, he was back on the mountain. Why, you ask? For the breathtaking views? For spiritual enlightenment? Nope. He went back to retrieve his forgotten mobile phone and other belongings. And, in a shocking twist that surprised absolutely no one, he reached a similar altitude, got altitude sickness again, was found incapacitated by another climber, and required a second rescue. This double rescue saga highlights an almost unbelievable attachment to technology, where retrieving a smartphone seemingly outweighs personal safety and common sense. The initial poor decision to climb off-season, ignoring warnings about closed facilities and hazardous conditions, directly led to the first rescue and the loss of his phone. That loss then became the sole driving motivation for a second, equally perilous attempt. Authorities confirmed the student was fine, but the incidents generated strong repercussions in Japan, with social media lighting up with criticism and calls for him to bear the costs of the operations. This has understandably reignited discussions about implementing stricter regulations and fees to deter ill-prepared climbers, especially when such actions strain emergency resources for what many see as trivial reasons. One can only imagine the contents of that phone, perhaps the Wi-Fi password for the summit, Budapest's big Wiener parade, dachshunds on a mission for a record mostly. From the perilous peaks of Mount Fuji, we now journey to the slightly less perilous, but infinitely more adorable, streets of Budapest, Hungary for a wiener dog stampede. On May 1st, 2025, hundreds of dachshunds and their proud owners gathered in Budapest City Park for a single-breed dog walk with a very serious goal in mind to set Hungary's record for such an event. It was described as a wiener wonderland, and one can only imagine the delightful ankle-level chaos. The Hungarian Records Association was on hand to officiate, and their registrar, István Sebastian, admitted the challenge of accurately tallying so many enthusiastic hounds and humans, noting, "We don't usually take dachshunds on walks in droves, so this experiment has to correspond to our system of rules." In the end, 500 dachshunds were officially counted, enough to snag the Hungarian record. However, they fell short of the Guinness World Record of 897, held by Regensburg, Germany, a town that also boasts a dachshund museum, the Dackel Museum. Undeterred, organisers vowed to try again next year. The owners, naturally, were full of praise for their beloved pets. One owner described her dachshund Zabos as having very deeply human qualities and being a love bomb. Another, Valeria Fabian, walking her dachshund Sebi, mused, "Few people are capable of giving this kind of selflessness, because people don't have as much love and self-sacrifice as a dog can give a human." Such events demonstrate a charming human desire for community, often expressed through niche interests like specific dog breeds. The attempt to set a collective record fosters a sense of group achievement and local pride. It's a gamification of a hobby, turning a simple dog walk into an entertaining spectacle, celebrating the enduring popularity of these short-legged companions. Bear versus Biscuits, Florida woman's cookie crumble defense. Meanwhile, in Florida, because of course it's Florida, a woman faced down a black bear. Her weapon of choice? Not bear spray, not a loud noise, nope, a bag of cookies. Kristen Savage, from the Markham Woods area of Seminole County, was walking her 13-pound Chihuahua mix, Ringo, when the bear approached and went after her dog. In a heart-pounding moment, Savage pulled Ringo up, dangling him and spinning in circles to keep him away from the bear, eventually falling and cutting her leg. Then she remembered a bag of cookies her mom had just given her for her kids. In a stroke of genius, or perhaps desperation, she whacked the bear across the face with it, and then I threw it, Savage recounted. The bear, likely a mother protecting cubs nearby, paused, sniffed the cookies, and this sweet diversion gave Savage and Ringo precious seconds to run to safety inside their home, the escape captured on her doorbell camera. This encounter speaks volumes about the unpredictable nature of wildlife interactions and the surprising resourcefulness humans can display under pressure. The mother bear's protective instincts likely triggered the aggressive approach. The unexpected offering of cookies, a novel distraction, caused the bear to pause its attack, allowing for escape. Savage herself doesn't blame the bear, saying, "As a mom, I would do whatever I could to protect my babies, and I'm sure she was doing the same, though she plans to carry an air horn or whistle in the future." While playing into the Florida woman's stereotype of bizarre news, the incident also offers an accidental tip. Distraction can be key. It also underscores the increasing human-wildlife interaction in suburban areas, as bears are often spotted where Savage lives. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission confirmed they received a report about a bear and cubs nearby, but noted that bear interactions are actually decreasing in Seminole County. Skippy's Day Out kangaroo causes commuter chaos on Alabama Highway. Imagine driving down Interstate 85 in Alabama. You expect to see trucks, cars, maybe a rogue armadillo. You do not expect to see a kangaroo. But on April 29th, that's exactly what drivers between Tuskegee and Auburn encountered. A pet kangaroo named Sheila had gotten loose and decided to test her hopping speed against highway traffic. The sight, understandably, caused bewilderment. One grandmother reportedly yelled, "Is that a kangaroo?" Macon County Sheriff Andre Brunson admitted, "When somebody said there was a kangaroo, of course I didn't believe it, and nobody believed it. But I'm looking at him." Sheila's impromptu adventure led to a two-vehicle crash, thankfully with no injuries reported, and a temporary closure of that section of I-85. The kangaroo, which had escaped from a petting zoo in Lee County, was eventually tranquilized by her owner, Patrick Starr, with the help of law enforcement, and safely returned home. The sheer unexpectedness of a kangaroo in Alabama is what makes this story so amusing. However, it also sheds light on the regulation and safety of keeping exotic animals. This was reportedly the third kangaroo to get loose in Alabama in the past 4 years. Laura Hagan from Humane World for Animals noted that kangaroos have been involved in at least 74 documented escapes since 2010 alone, resulting in at least 17 animal deaths, highlighting why wild animals should not be kept as pets or in roadside zoos. So, while Sheila's jaunt provided a moment of surreal highway humour, it also serves as a cautionary tale about the responsibilities and potential public safety risks associated with exotic animal ownership. Da Pope has landed. Chicago goes wild for its holy homeboy. From the animal kingdom, we pivot to the Holy See, by way of the Windy City. When Chicago-born Cardinal Robert Prevost was elected as Pope Leo XIV, becoming the first American pontiff, the city of Chicago reacted in a uniquely Chicagoan way. A spate of holy humour erupted. with the Chicago Sun-Times famously blaring "De Pope" on its front page on May 9, 2025. The memes, doctored images, and tongue-in-cheek references piled up faster than snow in a Chicago winter. The satirical site The Onion heralded the news with an image of the smiling pontiff encased in a poppy seed bun under the headline, "Conclave Selects First Chicago-Style Pope." Humorists imagined the new pope as a mustachioed everyman swapping his zucchetto for a bear's cap, trading the Pope-mobile for the Blues Brothers, Dodge Monaco, and perhaps considering Portillo's Italian beef sandwiches and the infamous Chicago liqueur malort as replacements for communion bread and wine. Other gags included stained glass windows depicting Michael Jordan dunking and a proposed change in canon law to make putting ketchup on hot dogs a sin. One enthusiastic local even reportedly asked for a Cubs jersey with Pope Leo XIV on the back. Late-night comedians jumped in, with Jimmy Fallon musing about deep-dish communion wafers from a pope nicknamed Bobby Bratwurst, and Stephen Colbert offering patriotic Pope essay chants in a thick Chicago accent. This explosion of local humour demonstrates how global events can be reinterpreted and claimed through a unique cultural lens. The distinctly Chicago-flavoured jokes serve to humanise the papacy. As Ashley Lenz, a theologian in Chicago, put it, "There's a certain delight of seeing something sacred break into the ordinary. The idea of a pope who stood in line at Portillo's or cheered on the Sox makes it all feel closer to home. It makes the papacy feel human again. Monster under the bed? Nope, just a dude. Kansas babysitter's shocking find. Every child has, at some point, been convinced there's a monster lurking under their bed. Well, on March 28, 2025, a babysitter in Barton County, Kansas, just outside Great Bend, tried to dispel this common childhood fear and got a terrifying dose of reality. When the child she was watching complained of a monster under the bed, the babysitter went to check. Instead of an imaginary creature, she came face to face with a male suspect who was hiding there. An altercation ensued, during which the babysitter and child were knocked over, and the suspect, later identified as 27-year-old Martin Villalobos Jr., fled the scene. He was apprehended by deputies the following day after a short pursuit. It turns out Villalobos once lived on the property, and there was an active protection order barring him from the premises. He was subsequently booked on multiple charges, including aggravated kidnapping and child endangerment, with bonds set at $500,000. This unsettling incident subverts a classic childhood fear with a far more disturbing adult reality. The child was, in a way, correct. There was something unwelcome under the bed, just not the fantastical monster they imagined. The man's previous connection to the property and the existing protection order suggest his presence was not random, but likely related to domestic issues or an attempt to evade the order. The story is a stark reminder of how real-world dangers can intrude into spaces considered safe, like a child's bedroom, and highlights the vulnerability of domestic spaces, even when what seems like a child's fantasy is at play. Paul Pierce's 20-mile walk of bathrobe shame. Athletes and commentators make bold predictions all the time. Usually, if they're wrong, they just face some light ribbing. But former Boston Celtics great Paul Pierce, he had to pay a much more public and sartorial price for a failed guarantee. So confident was Pierce in the Celtics winning Game 2 of their playoff series against the Knicks, he declared on an FS1 show, If the Celtics lose Game 2 at home, I promise you I am walking here tomorrow, barefoot, in my robe. I guarantee this one. Put the house on this game. Well, the Celtics proceeded to blow a 20-point lead and lose 91-90. True to his word mostly, Pierce embarked on what he said was a 20.2-mile commute to work in the Los Angeles area the following Thursday, starting before sunrise. He wisely opted for shoes instead of going barefoot, but the bathrobe was in full effect. He documented his journey on Instagram Live, lamenting, "I can't believe the Celtics got me out here like this, dog, and I'm really walking out here like this." He even encountered hecklers on the sidewalk, one of whom called out, "You lost that bet, huh?" Pierce, taking it in stride, arrived at work around 1 p.m. This episode is a light-hearted example of accountability in the world of sports commentary. Pierce's public guarantee created an obligation, and the Celtics' loss directly triggered the walk of shame. His decision to broadcast the fulfillment of his vow on social media turned a personal consequence into a piece of public entertainment, engaging fans and critics alike. It's a humorous take on good sportsmanship, as public figures rarely embrace such humbling and silly consequences for a wrong prediction. Robo-Rumble, Beijing's humanoid half-marathon, had a few stumbles and finally a glimpse into the future, or at least a future that's still working out some kinks. On April 19th, 2025, Beijing hosted the E-Town Half Marathon, pitting nearly 12,000 human runners against 21 humanoid robots. The winner of the humanoid robot category was Tiangong Ultra, crossing the finish line in a respectable 2 hours, 40 minutes and 42 seconds. For comparison, the human winners were significantly faster, with the men's champion finishing in 1:02:36 and the women's in 1:11:7. However, the robot race wasn't without its malfunctions. Tiangong Ultra was the only robot to finish within the 3-hour, 10-minute human cut-off time, and only 6 robots completed the 13.1-mile course at all. Some robots reportedly fell right at the starting line, one walked into a barrier, and another even knocked over its human parents or creators. The robots faced numerous challenges: joints overheating in warmer weather, batteries swiftly losing power. Tiangong Ultra needed 3 battery replacements, and slippery paved surfaces proving a grave concern, leading some robots to even wear running shoes over their metallic feet. The smallest robot, a 30-incher named Little Giant, endeared itself to the crowd by waving right before smoke started emerging from its head. Human runners often paused mid-race to take photos or videos of their mechanical competitors. This event amusingly highlights the current gap between the futuristic promise of robotics and its often clumsy, real-world application. The robot struggles, stemming from current technological limitations in battery life, joint mechanics, and environmental sensitivity, made them seem less like an impending Skynet and more like endearingly fallible participants. As one report dryly noted, at the time of writing, still no robot has penned a lengthy "Why I DNF'd" Instagram post. Such public demonstrations, while showcasing ambition, also provide a realistic and entertaining look at the incremental nature of technological progress, perhaps fostering a sense of admiration and respect for these early attempts rather than fear. Third, and that's our show. Don't forget to tip your waitress, reality. Well, folks, that's all the absurdity we have time for tonight. From speeding ducks to cookie-wielding Floridians and robots learning the agony of defeat, It's clear the world is a wonderfully weird place. Remember, if you think your life is bizarre, just wait until you see next week's headlines. Reality is out there, probably brainstorming even stranger scenarios as we speak. It's a wild ride, and sometimes all one can do is laugh. Stay safe, stay sane-ish, and if you see a duck that looks like it's in a hurry, maybe just let it pass. It could be on a very important 7-year anniversary-related mission. Good night, everybody.